And we are back.
Hello, my friend. It is September 23rd, and our topic is the most secure fortress.
Mm-hmm.
Fortress, I never actually learned the definition of that word. That's like a safe spot.
Yeah, fortress is like a military,
Yeah.
like a military castle. So it's not like oh for all to see. No, it's like down in the ground. It's really tough. Like you can't penetrate fortresses.
Okay.
But even castles were built as fortresses, but they were kind of like up for showing. But fortress is kind of like it's not flashy, but it's very strong.
Okay.
Yeah.
Marcus Aurelius says, "Remember that your ruling reason becomes unconquerable when it rallies and relies on itself, so that it won't do anything contrary to its own will, even if its position is irrational. How much more unconquerable if its judgments are careful and made rationally? Therefore, the mind freed from passions is an impenetrable fortress. A person has no more secure place of refuge for all time." It's funny, it says the mind freed from passions, and all I can think of is the scene in Legally Blonde where she wrote it on the blackboard and then said who said that, and someone was like, Aristotle. So Marcus is probably borrowing that from Aristotle. Okay, so the
Legally Blonde continues to surprise. I love that.
It's a great movie.
It's awesome.
It's so good.
Okay, keep going.
It's so good. Remember that your ruling reason becomes unconquerable when it rallies and relies on itself. Okay, so I think when he says ruling reason, he is talking about your ability to make sense of and make decisions about things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, logic, almost like.
So he's saying he's like if that thing rallies and relies on itself, literally nothing can stop it, even if it's irrational, even if the thing that it wants to do or the way it wants to see things doesn't make sense and isn't true. And you see this example in the world all the time, people just doing absurd things
or saying things that don't make sense, and then when you ask them questions, they're they can't explain it, but they continue to say that's what needs to happen.
Right, they've decided
they've decided for
this
some
ruling reason. So now he's saying because it's so strong, that's so strong. How much more unconquerable if its judgments are careful and made rationally. So if you then are the type of person who's well, because I know how strong this is, I'm going to make sure that I go all the way down there and make sure that it all makes sense, that it's all rational, it's careful, it's precise. I'm not just deciding on things willy-nilly based on what I feel or something like that. Yeah. And now he's calling that the mind freed from passions. So I'm not ruled by my pleasures. I'm not ruled by...
because those rulings in us are there because of we are tying it to some sort of a reward, and we say it has to happen like this, so I get this reward. You know what I mean? Versus he's saying more no, don't make it about rewards. Make it about what's really right for all parties. Go down deep to the logical place as much as you need to, or as necessary, right? Or as much as you want, right? Or can. Well, yeah, all of this that should be part of this. There should not be a rejection of going to investigate something, right? Yeah. And if there is a scenario where there is a rejection of investigating, now you know that it's most likely that those decisions were made from the ruling of some sort of a ruling of in their mind. It has nothing to do with actual
or the passions when he's saying
passion. Yeah. That's what I mean. Yeah. The ruling was made based on passion. Yeah.
Versus careful, rational investigation of something.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, fortress. The fortress is that's a good, I like that image of that. Like, there was something was coming up of like don't fire from your fortress on enemies that don't have ability to penetrate your fortress. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't make sense to just be firing at somebody that can't actually get in. Be out there.
Right, so it's saying like don't spend your energy doing that. Spend your energy on making your fortress
even more unpenetrable.
And he's saying that is like careful and rational thinking.
Yeah.
So that's really where all of the attention should be going. Am I thinking about this carefully and rationally?
Yeah. It's almost like it's very tempting, right? It's very tempting to spend time on something that we don't evaluate those situations. We think maybe that they are about to attack us and go into the fortress and have some sort of a big impact in there, and therefore we are reacting to it. So it's almost like we don't know how strong our fortress is. I'm not saying it is strong or it's weak. We don't know how weak it is. You know what I mean? We know someone because someone tried to attack it and we got very sad after that or something. So, they got in there, man. They sprayed paint.
But you don't realize
asshole.
You don't realize that the reason they got in there is because you weren't paying attention to the strength of your fortress. And so you're like, no, they got in there because they're really strong. So I need to focus on battling them. But my fortress stays weak while I'm battling them.
So I don't even have a place to retreat or nothing. Yeah. Very cool. Yeah, focus on on the walls of your fortress. Yeah. While having doors open to any friends. Right? Because it's also could be very quickly misunderstood that I need to build a fortress and nobody goes in here. Literally no one. Right? Like, I cannot trust friend and foe.
Right, but then you wouldn't be thinking carefully and rationally about
you
things.
Would not be. That would not be rational. Yeah. That's a big key. Thinking deeply and rationally. Yes. Okay. Those are the conditions.
Yeah.
Must be included. Okay.
Ready for Ryan?
Let's do it. Yeah.
Bruce Lee once made an interesting claim. I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, he said, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times. When we repeat an action so often it becomes unconscious behavior, we can default to it without thinking. Training in the martial arts or combat is a deeply thoughtful study of movement. We sometimes think of soldiers as automatons, but what they've actually built is a steady pattern of unconscious behaviors. Any of us can build these. When Marcus says that a mind can get to a place where it won't do anything contrary to its own will, even if its position is irrational, what he means is that proper training can change your default habits. Train yourself to give up anger, and you won't be angry at every fresh slight. Train yourself to avoid gossip, and you won't get pulled into it. Train yourself on any habit, and you'll be able to unconsciously go to that habit in trying times. Think about which behaviors you'd like to be able to default to if you could. How many of them have you practiced only once? Let today be twice.
Yeah. That's a very cool way to look at it for sure. Practicing it, yeah.
It's all about the repetition.
It's all about repetition that you're focused on. That's what the Lee comes in, right? Because he was because I can definitely see an example, like for example, like I would be practicing something that's kind of monotonous or something, right? Let's say scales or something, right? And like I can see myself going like, well, this is kind of a monotonous thing. I just need to practice it to get it under my fingers. So I can also have a TV on in the background or something, right? And it's like, and so I'm sitting here maybe for an hour doing something, and maybe that does something that it goes in, but it's not going in as much as not having that and really being like, okay, where am I? Okay, do I see anything else? Like actually being interested in this, even though it's so monotonous. Because inside of that monotony, we can find new thing that can come out of it that's no longer, that becomes like, oh, that wasn't monotonous. That was just disguised as monotony and not, you know what I mean? So, yeah, cool way to look at it. Yeah, I don't do that very often now, like being like just like practice something without. I definitely practice without thinking about it too much.
Yeah, right? I mean, I think, and he's
but
also.
But I have sessions that I do as well. So like I do focus specifically. Like I have to do that, otherwise, like, especially when I'm learning something new.
That's what I'm getting from him. He's talking about like if you want to give up anger. It's not that you've practiced giving up anger 10,000 times already that you can just do it without thinking. It's like, no, I need the next rep. The next rep here is like, just practice giving that up right now in this instance. Even if I failed at doing that all these times before. You
tried to practice it. You were trying to say to yourself, this is the time it's happening. I can't do it. Okay, you got angry. That's okay, right? But you were trying to catch it or something.
Yeah, I'm trying to get that rep in, and a new rep and a new rep, and at the beginning you have to pay attention to it because it's new.
And it will change because it every time, no matter how it seems like it is the same thing over and over, it is nevertheless a new instance of that, and there is something different, and there's something new, and a potential of understanding from that is new, very fresh, always available. Like this is the time where you can understand this, right? So going into it has to be part of it, because otherwise we'll never actually understand it by avoiding it. So my whole thing of saying like, well, I don't want to have fights, or again, like my whole thing is like, I love arguments. We can have arguments, but let's not yell and be elevated and be all angry about it, right? But it's like, so I'm trying to avoid that, but ultimately I need to continue to experience that in order to come to a place where I understand how to not get there in the first place or something, right? Because I do get there, right? So if I get there, that means I'm not catching it, right? I'm all of a sudden like, oh, I'm here. I'm already there. I don't catch those steps going up there saying, oh, this is the first step I'm ignoring. That's the second step I'm ignoring. Third step I'm ignoring. And here we go, right? No, it's like, I'm here and now I'm here, right? And sometimes I catch it and I ignore it, because it's so tough to go back and do. I don't know what to do, how to go the step back, how to de-escalate it, for example, right? So I'm okay, I know that I'm here, nevertheless the next step is happening, right? So it's like, yep, all of that part of this practice. Just keep practicing.
Yeah, exactly.
Good times, yeah. Awesome. Okay. Say things, Brentan.
Thank you for tuning in today, and we will see you here tomorrow. Drop us a comment if today's topic brought something up for you. We'd love to hear about it.
Toodaloo.